Although the Victorian age saw tremendous changes in England, including the expansion of the Industrial Revolution and a new voting class, women remained in rigidly defined roles. Women and men were said to occupy separate spheres. The ideology of separate spheres rested on definition of the natural characteristics of women and men. Women were considered physically weaker, yet morally superior to men, which meant that they were best suited to the domestic sphere. Not only was it their job to counterbalance the moral taint of the public sphere in which their husbands labored all day, they were also preparing the next generation to carry on this way of life. The fact that women had gathered such great influence at home was used as an argument against giving them the right to vote. In the conception of the division of gender roles into separate spheres, a woman's place was in the private sphere, which included family life and the home. A man's place was in the public sphere, whether in politics, the economic world, which was becoming increasingly separate from home life as the Industrial Revolution progressed, or in public, social, and cultural activity. The reality was different. Women lost property rights in any property they owned when they married. Women were subject to husbands' control, including the control over their body and property. Legislation protecting animal cruelty would be enacted before legislation prohibiting cruelty against women. This was seen with the following quote: "A woman, a dog, and a walnut tree. The more they are beaten, the better they'll be." Women's roles were also defined by class. Nobility and gentry saw highly educated women enjoying a life of leisure. They were expected to train girls into becoming noble women. Middle-class women were educated and worked in the family business. These women often aspired to marry into nobility. Upper working-class women could work a variety of jobs such as governess, housekeeper, or school mistress. Lower working-class women often worked menial jobs such as laborers and jobs involving physical activity. In some cases, they also worked as prostitutes. Born in England in 1802, Harriet Martineau would defy societal conventions, becoming a strong voice for equal rights for women. Martineau was raised in a home with strict gender roles, where it's expected she would conform to traditional female roles. Martineau had other plans. Writing in her autobiography, "It was my fixed resolution never to mortgage my brains. It was necessary to preserve my independence of thought and speech." Nevertheless, her mother's cold nature and lack of affection impacted the rest of Martineau's life. She was plagued by health problems throughout her life. Martineau began losing her senses of taste and smell at a young age, becoming increasingly deaf and having to use an ear trumpet. It was the beginning of many health problems in her life that included a 5-year period where she was housebound. Martineau would use mesmerism to overcome her illness. In 1829, the family's textile business failed, and Martineau, then 27 years old, stepped out of the traditional roles of feminine propriety to earn a living for her family. Along with her needlework, she began selling her articles to the monthly repository, earning accolades including 3 essay prizes from the Unitarian Association. Martineau's novel, Illustrations of Political Economy, became a surprise sensation, going from an initial print run of 1,500 copies to becoming a bestseller. Illustrations helped spread the doctrines espoused by Adam Smith in The Wealth of Nations. Like Martineau's later body of work, Illustrations touched upon a number of issues, including the family, birth control, capitalism, public welfare, and labor. Despite lifelong health problems, Harriet Martineau wrote throughout her life, touching on a plethora of subjects. Novelist, essayist, translator, and editor, Martineau saw no limit to what she could write about, whether it was children's books or studies about India's future political state. As noted in the journal article, Mothering and Mesmerism in the Life of Harriet Martineau, this intellectual polymath ranged easily from economics to sociology, fiction, travel, history, and philosophy. Throughout her career, Martineau also published widely on feminist issues, from the education of women to the contagious disease X. Harriet Martineau would leave behind a rich legacy, both as a pioneer in women's rights and as the mother of sociology.